What's going on, everybody? In today's video, we're going to be making a bowl blank. Whether this is your first segmented bowl blank or your 50th segmented bowl blank, I hope to show you guys easy ways to achieve and get into segmented turning. When I first got started with segmented turning, there was a lot of information out there, but also not enough information out there. What I really needed as a beginner was just a straightforward video on how to cut the angles I wanted and how to glue everything up so I could get started turning. And that's the purpose of today's video, is to get you guys making some quick and easy blanks and to get started turning. So let's jump into it. All right, to start out, segmenting is where you cut a bunch of little triangles or segments and you glue them together like this, and you come up with a ring that looks like this. Then you take a bunch of those rings and you glue them together so they look like this. I know, it's kind of ugly, but you're gonna end up coming up with something like this, and this is going to be a bowl blank. Obviously, this is missing the bottom of it, but I hope this gives you the general idea of what we're going for. So why would you want to choose segmenting over traditional bowl turning? This is a traditional bowl that I recently turned, and here's another one that is done, and these look awesome. I love the look of traditional bowls. You get the continuous grain, you get the natural pattern of the wood, and they look great. And these are segmented bowls. Obviously, you don't get the continuous grain. You can obviously see you get the natural look of the wood still in there, but the obvious difference with segmented bowls and traditional bowls, you should be able to tell, is you can kind of have a lot of fun with these. Obviously, traditional bowls have their place in wood turning, but so do segmented bowls. So why would you choose a segmented bowl over a traditional wood bowl? I think that one of the reasons you would choose a segmented bowl over a traditional bowl is lack of materials. It's kind of hard to get thick, wide stock for bowl turning. And if you can find it, it comes out to be pretty expensive. Where with segmenting, you can make your bowl blank as big or as small or as thick as you would like it. Also, with segmented turning, you can choose whatever stock you want. If you want to make a walnut bowl, you just have to have a walnut board and you can then make it into a bowl. If you wanted to make a purple heart bowl, you don't have to go out and spend a lot of money on a purple heart blank. You can just cut it up, segment it, and make yourself a purple heart bowl. The main reason I chose segmenting as my main form of turning over traditional turning is because it allows you to have creative freedom. When I first got my lathe and I was searching wood turning ideas, segmenting was one of the first things to come up, and I instantly fell in love with it. The patterns you could use, the different wood tones you could use, the shapes that you could come up with, it was just an artist's dream. Yes, I consider myself an artist. So obviously you are interested in segmented turning, and I'm here to take you on this journey. I'm really excited to show you guys the things that I learned as a beginner, and now as an intermediate turner, I think I have some things that might help you in your journey. And with that, we are going to start with the very first part of this video, which is wood selection. So if you are just getting into the woodworking game or wood turning game, you have probably noticed that there are tons of species of wood out there. And as far as I know, there's not one species that you can't turn. But here in North America, there are certain species that aren't available to us, or that you have to order, or whatever. We do, however, have a pretty good variety of wood species here that we get to pick from. I am going to suggest to you first to start out plain and simple. There are harder woods to turn and easier woods to turn. Some of the easier woods to turn might be walnut, cherry, alder, ash, things of that sort. And those are the woods that I would recommend to you. Once you get a little bit of experience under your belt, you can start trying to turn things like leopard wood and purple heart and things like that. But I'm going to suggest that you start nice and easy and use a good hardwood for your first bowl. I would not suggest turning pine. This is just a pine board that I picked up from Home Depot, And yes, you may look at it and think, that looks like a great board to turn. It's not. It's too soft. You're gonna get a lot of tear out. And in the end, you're just gonna have a lot of problems to solve with it. So with those suggestions in mind, I have picked out a piece of cherry that I'm going to be using for my segmented bowl blank. I picked this piece of wood because it has very minimal knots and knot holes in it, and it's already surfaced and ready for me to start cutting up to get ready for segmenting. Real quick, let's go over cutting up this board to get it ready for segmenting. This board is 4 feet long probably, which is way too long for me to comfortably segment. It's also obviously way too thick. So looking at this board, I want to cut it at least in half or less. I don't want to cut it into, 6-inch little chunks, but I definitely want it at least 1.5 to 2 feet long. That'll make it comfortable enough for me to segment easily. The next thing I want to do is I want to cut it into the strips that I'm going to use for the segmenting. Now, your strips are going to vary depending on the style of bowl that you want to do, the shape of the bowl that you want to do, and so on and so forth. But for this basic video and this basic bowl blank, I'm going to be cutting my strips at 1.25 inches. I found that 1.25 inches is just wide enough to give you some playroom while you're turning, but not so wide that you feel like you're wasting a lot of material. So I just finished cutting up the first half of that board, and just being around segmenting and knowing how things kind of work, I already know that this is going to be enough material to get all of the rings that I want. So I'm going to save this whole piece and use it as the base to my bowl. And just so you guys have a reference, this is 3 pieces. They are 3/4 thick and 1.25 inches wide and 28 inches long. So if you are wanting to follow step by step, that is what this is. The secondary piece is 29 inches long by 4 3/4 wide by 3/4 thick. One more thing to note, make sure that your stock that you're starting out with is as flat as it can possibly be. You want it as flat as it can be and as straight as it can be. So when you get your strips cut out, they are also as flat as they can be and as straight as they can be. If you have a piece that's warped or bent or twisted in a way, don't use that piece. That piece will mess up all of your segmenting. It's very important to have straight, flat pieces. Okay, one of the most common questions I get asked is, how do I know how long to cut my segments to get the circumference of the bowl that I want? So, I have drawn up a very simple, should I call it an equation? I've drawn up this simple diagram to show you guys how it is, but I'm also going to take you to a online calculator that I think that everybody should have if they're going to get into segmented turning. In this video, we're going to be making an 8-inch bowl, and it's going to be 3.25, 3.25 inches tall. The diameter of the bowl is just a random choice that I've picked. An 8-inch bowl is a really good size for a snack bowl or a decorative bowl, what have you. The height of the bowl I got from stacking the wood and seeing how high it is. I know that I want 3 segmented rings on top with a solid base bottom. The other thing that you need to know is your starting dimensions for your segmenting. So like I said previously, we know that this is 3/4 by 1.25 inches wide. Here is the basic equation that you will need to start segmenting. You are going to take 180 degrees. You're going to divide that by the number of segments that you want in your ring. In this case, I want 10. That's going to give me 18. This is the degrees that you need to be angled at in your segments. 18 degrees. This equation will work with any number you want. So if you wanted 20 segments instead of 10, 180 divided by 20 is going to give you 9. So then you will turn your miter gauge to 9 degrees and cut that. The equation is really simple once you know it, and it'll really help you in saving time when it comes to basic segmenting. So yes, all you need is this equation and you can start segmenting for yourself. If you don't trust yourself with the math like I don't, I like to use a calculator, and I'll show you that right now. Okay, so all we're gonna do is search Paul Jackman segmenting chart, and it's the first thing that pops up. Click on it. It takes us to this segmented ring calculator. You can see it costs $0. So add to cart, then just go view cart, proceed to checkout. Then in order to check out, you have to, you do have to put in your information, and then just go to the bottom, place order. Then just come over here, download. It'll go right to your downloads, wherever those are. I like to just drag it onto my desktop. Now for a Mac, in order to open it, you either have to have Excel or you can open it through Google Docs. So this is what it looks like when you open it. You can see here, number of segments, 10, ring diameter, 8. It's going to tell you the degrees you cut it at, 18, how long the segment needs to be, 2 11/16, and how long your board length actually needs to be. I forgot that that was in there, and I think our board lengths are just at 28, aren't they? So that's pretty sweet. But let's say you wanted to do, I don't know, 16 segments and an 8-inch bowl. You cut it at 11.25. Your segmented length 1 11/16 again, and your board length needs to be 28. So pretty easy calculator, and then you can just print out this sheet, or I just write it down if I want. But you can do a lot with this, and again, it's really easy. That chart is what I like to call stupid proof. It gives you the answers nice and quick and easy, and it's super easy to read. And that's where we're gonna end the video. We still have a lot to cover with your first segmented bowl, but this should get you started. In the next video, we are going to be going over some jigs that you can use for your segmented cutting and some good techniques on getting good segments. We're also gonna go over the best way to glue up your segmented rings and get them ready for turning. I hope that this video gives you guys a good starting point in your segmented turning, and also gets you inspired to get out into your shops and start turning. If there's something you'd like for me to cover from this video that maybe you don't quite grasp, I'd love to go over it with you down in the comments. Also, make sure that you are subscribed so that you don't miss the next videos coming up. And that's it for me, guys. Be good, be safe, be happy, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace!